Hello, and welcome to the Life and Fasting Lane podcast. We're here to educate you, challenge you, encourage you on your fasting journey. And you can check us out at fastinglane.com, lifeinthefastinglane.com, and also on Twitter and Instagram at fastinglane. Today, we have a very cool guest that I'm excited for you to meet. I discovered her because she's pretty famous right now. It's all over the press, right? Her name is Jackie Wilson. She is a single mom, an HR manager who, like me, has struggled with her weight throughout her life and discovered that fasting was really the life-changing tool that she was looking for. So Jackie, thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thank you for having me. I feel honored and hey, taking it.
So I'm the one that's honored, and let me explain why. I'll give the background of Jackie. Let me give the background first. The beginning of the year, Jackie, you were around 290 pounds. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Isn't it wild to say your weight on podcasts and shows and to magazines, like this number that we've tried to hide our whole freaking life?
Yeah.
How we're like telling everybody, which means like our coworker knows, our pastor knows, our best friend at the bar knows. Isn't it bizarre?
Yeah. It's crazy. I thought about that this morning because I'm not on Facebook, but a friend of mine said, hey, can I post the article from last week? And I was like, sure, and we went to high school together. So of course she's connected to all those folks. And she called me and she's like, oh my God, like everybody's so excited for you. And I was like, oh, wow. It says I went from 290 to 230 and I'm excited about that.
Yes, that's amazing. And it's so weird because I think as women primarily, we're taught a lot of times to like, we shouldn't say that number out loud. We shouldn't tell people what's going on. And then I think, tell me if you agree, like it sets up this whole perception of crap that we see a person and think that they probably weigh way less than they actually do. And our number is the only one that's big. And our number is the only one that's shameful. Have you ever felt like that?
Absolutely. Everything is wrapped up in that. And, it was very freeing actually to say it and have it in, have it in print and broadcasted because as I've gone through this journey throughout my life, I've kind of always been, among the heaviest of my friends. And also as women, it's like, oh, you look great, you look beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, I weigh a lot more than you think.
Absolutely. I've felt the same way. Okay. So from what I've heard about you, you tried all the calorie diets, all the calories in, calories out. But you had some initial success with your weight and you would just always come back to the lifestyle, but it was just like, you weren't able to sustain it. So it sounds like, Jackie, what happened is in January, you discovered intermittent fasting and read this amazing book. Let's see, perhaps it looks like this, right? Life in the Fasting Lane.
Yeah.
In your first 2 weeks, you lost 13 pounds. So like, what happened? How did you get to the book? How did you discover it? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I started out with an initial goal this year to just drink more water. To be honest, like that was what I set out to do. When I started drinking more water, I discovered that I had more energy and mental clarity. And I was like, I've been dehydrated.
That makes sense. Were you less hungry?
Huh?
Were you less hungry when you started drinking more water?
I was less hungry and I had more energy and I kind of, had the ability then to tap into what was happening, what else was happening in my body, or where I kind of felt maybe I was numb at that point, I kind of was numbing it and, doing my work thing and just kind of plowing through life. And so once that happened, I kind of stumbled upon intermittent fasting and there's a lot of buzz out there. Obviously, everybody knows this is the place to be. And I found a talk that Dr. Fung had given on the therapeutic methods and reversing type 2 diabetes. And although I, on paper, have always appeared pretty healthy with the exception of my blood pressure and my weight, I knew that I was probably headed towards a trajectory that I didn't want to be on. And so I did more research. I thought, it was really interesting and there was something that clicked with me, did more research about the different fasting windows. And I said, I don't think this is going to work. I'm going to give it
I always say too. It ain't gonna work. I'll just do it anyway. So I can say I tried, so I can keep trying. Nothing else has worked. Why would this work?
I'm gonna do it. But at the same time, I discovered I had an allergy to the blood pressure medicine I was on. So I went to my doctor. I had a cough. Anybody who's ever taken an ACE inhibitor, just know if you get a cough, it's an allergy to the drugs.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. They call it the ACE cough, and I discovered this on an AARP website of all places. So I called my doctor, and she brings me in. We switched the medication, but while I was there,
wait, Jackie, why were you on an AA? I mean, I'm sorry to judge you, but you look pretty young. What are you doing on AARP?
I'm 42.
Yeah, okay.
I was just trying to figure out why I had this cough.
Okay.
Why it was nagging, and COVID was on the rise. I knew I didn't have that, but I was like, you might want to get this checked out. I'm not a smoker, but so it was just out of place,
Got it.
So that just happened to be where I found the answer. So
they have a great site. I think their information is so good. I do, right? I'm 46. I'll be there soon.
I know. I'm like, they might have the answer.
Yeah.
So I go to my doctor. She switches the med, and I ask her while I'm there, so how do you feel about intermittent fasting? And she said, no answer. And I often wonder, had I said, how do you feel about time restricted eating? Like if I only ate between 12 and 8, if her answer would have been different, but she kind of just shut the entire conversation down. And I walked out of her office and I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. So that's not always advised. In my case, again, I knew the two factors I had were the two factors that would be impacted if I made this choice positively. So I decided to do 16-8 and nothing else. I didn't change my diet. I drank my water, I worked, and I sat on my couch, and I lost that initial 13 pounds.
And were you surprised?
I was surprised. And I'll tell you what happened. I don't know if you experienced this. I had a little angst about it at first. I kind of feel like between 15 and 20 pounds is like a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Maybe, and like everything else will fall apart after that. So I got even more hungry for information. And that's when I arrived at your book and the obesity code, and that's kind of when my world exploded with the information. And the more I had, the more empowered I felt. And what I really liked about life in the fasting lane, I'm sure you guys have gotten this feedback, is you have the perspective of a doctor, a researcher who struggled with the same thing. They've worked with patients, and then you have you as a lay person telling a story that I'm very, very, very intimately aware of and familiar with.
Yes.
And every nook and cranny was filled with information that I could use, but it also a story that I could resonate with. And that, it meant everything to me in terms of that journey.
Jackie, you're making my heart so big. So I don't know, I feel like if you and I had just met, we'd probably hang out.
I know.
And I feel like that's who I wanted to talk to, because I just couldn't, as much as I do love Dr. Fung and I do love Megan Ramos and we need all that. I was like, where is your best friend's voice? Like, where is she? And where is a person who has failed? And where is a person who is overachieved in their failing, right? Where's that?
Yeah.
And so it's people like you who have succeeded and found your way and gotten this information in a different way that it's so incredible and so fulfilling, because I think my role in this has been to learn and has been to help support people and gain support for myself and understanding how common it is to feel the shame to want to be a more gorgeous and more healthy woman. Right. So maybe think I'm beautiful, even though I'm 300 pounds, but to want to be healthier and to want to wear a dress that's a size 12, want to shop at a regular store. And I get so frustrated sometimes about people judging, and I'm talking a lot about women today, but people judging whether we should really be about our insides or our outsides. And like, I just don't think anybody but us gets to decide what.
It's balance, right?
Right? Like, shouldn't we get to decide if we want to be hot? Shouldn't we get to decide if we want to be smart? Shouldn't we get to be all those things if we want to? Like, you seem capable of that. I seem capable of that.
Without worrying about needing a seatbelt extender on a plane.
Yes. Oh my God, I hated that thing.
Like those moments, I think those moments, to your point, they cripple you when it comes to being able to see yourself as high. I'm like, I feel it on the inside, but I didn't feel it getting on a plane wondering like, is today the day I'm going to need a seatbelt extender? Or, like, am I going to be able to ride a roller coaster with my son? Like, just different things like that you end up internalizing whether you realize it or not. And when you do that, then it also, skews your perspective about then what you're capable of. I'm like, I've been on this journey a million times. I know how I feel about myself. I know how I present. It's like what you said in the book about, being successful in all these other facets of your life. And then having those moments where you're like, well, why is this the one thing that I cannot wrap my arms around? It doesn't make sense to me, Yes. I can be all these things.
So, okay, here's what I want to hear about, because since COVID has started, my family and I have mostly stayed home. We are fortunate to have, I'm a speaker and an author and a consultant, and my husband does a lot of the same. He's a nerd, So like, fortunately, we can work from home, right?
Yeah.
My daughter has been doing school from home. We get everything delivered. We don't go anywhere. Like, it's hard. Like, I love my family, but I get really sick of them sometimes. I miss my friends. I miss the office. I have really struggled since March doing this, not gaining weight. I have gained some weight. And in fact, most of the friends I talk to, most of the women friends I talk to are people that I see online. Most have gained 15, 20 pounds. Like, I find that to be the average. If I'm looking at it and what I've done, I've bounced all around, but I've definitely gained 7 to 10 pounds since March, since I've been home. And like I've said to people, there's no chapter in Life in the Fasting Lane on how to fast during a pandemic. This is my first pandemic. You're 42. It's your first pandemic.
You're in good company. We're all here.
But look at you, this badass who goes into this situation. And so now I appreciate that you love my book. That makes me feel so great. But now I and other people need to learn from you, because I heard that you went through some tough stuff during the past few months. And you still kicked all this ass. So like, tell me what happened. Tell me how you did that. Share your secrets so we can be cool like you.
This conversation is amazing, because you never think that about yourself, right? You think I'm plowing through life and my situation and all that stuff. So I'll tell you, you said it in the beginning, I'm a single mom to an amazing 9-year-old boy. I serve on the board at his school. I've been busy in general, professionally. And like I said, I started fasting at the end of January, January 26th. I found out that I was a part of a reorganization in my company on February 24th.
As millions and millions and millions of people have, right? Like I hate to say it like this, but you're not special in that situation.
Right, exactly.
So many friends I have lost their job or been furloughed or had a reduction or completely lost their small business. We cannot sit here and not talk about the financial pressures, especially that everybody's going through, but especially single parents, single moms, single dads, when you have that added stress of providing for children. So many people are dealing financially really hard blows. Yeah. And I think a lot of people turn to food to deal with it, right? So I'm just so intrigued with you. Like, you're this beautiful anomaly that here you go, you get reorganized.
Yeah.
I'm sure you love your 9-year-old, but at some point we all get sick of our kids, right? I don't know, but I do. And my 13-year-old's incredible, but I get sick of her.
And they get sick of us too.
They do. She's still sick of me. Oh my gosh. Poor thing.
So it's funny. The day I got the news, I was shocked, but not devastated. I was in the middle of a fast. I had just come from a non-lunch with friends. I was probably 16 hours in. So I get this news. And to your point, a lot of people would turn to food. I got some level of resolve. I took a deep breath, and my impulse was not, even being a month into fasting, my impulse was not to go to food. I just processed how I felt, and I kept fasting, believe it or not. And over the course of that 2 days, I did the longest fast I had done to that point, and it was about 37 hours. So I just kept fasting and let myself go through the emotions that you go through when you find out, I don't have a job. This pandemic is coming, because I think some people were still in denial. And I think that's what I'm grateful for. Looking back on it, I was paying attention, and I was like, crap's about to hit the fan here.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have to go through the 5 stages of grief around COVID. It was really like, okay, I've lost my job. And then 3 weeks later, we all got shut down and the schools got closed. So then I was thrown into homeschooling, looking for a job. And I'll tell you, what I did at that point was I made a decision. So I made a decision to take a certification class for HR. So I turned to enrichment in the middle of this job search, probably because something in the back of my mind told me this isn't going to get better. It's not going to get better quickly, for sure, from a public health perspective, but the job market's not going to get any better either. So you're going to have to figure out. And then I just made myself busy. I'll be really honest. So I focused on fasting in a way that just continued to support the healthy habits I had already established over that, almost 2 months. And when I felt anxiety and stress creep up on me on a day where I should have, by schedule, done a 16-hour fast, I cut it off at 14. I felt like I needed to cut it off. And I think, as I listened to folks who have questions about intermittent fasting, and this is also addressed in the book too, it's allowing yourself the grace to say, okay, like today, I can't do it. Like 98% of the time I'm on task, but right now, like I'm on 14 hours and then I'm going to have a meal because my entire body is telling me that's what I need to do today. Tomorrow will probably be different, and allowing yourself the grace to do that.
Abby, I'm so impressed with you, and I have so many questions. Have you found a job yet?
I've not found a job yet. I'm still on the market.
All right. Tell people what kind of job you're looking for, because if somebody's listening to this and they just heard how motivating and incredible this woman is, you should just go ahead and interview her and hire her. So like, what kind of job, what kind of certification did you get? What kind of job are you looking for?
So I'm studying for my HR certification, but I've been an HR professional and HR business partner at the regional level for the last 10 plus years. I've also worked remotely for 10 years. So this whole thing that everybody else is going through is not new to me in terms of evolving your life and making that work around, your home. I also was offered a promotion prior to my reorg. So I was on my way to becoming a director. So yeah, I have runway in my career. I'm an excellent communicator and so many other things, right?
Yes, you are. All right, I like this. So if anybody reaches out to me, I'm going to put them in touch with you, and we're going to hook up on LinkedIn and like
awesome.
Figure this out, right? Okay, so you talked about a lot of things that I'm not so good at, which is like, this happened and you lost your job, and instead of eating, which I absolutely would have done, like, let me be clear, absolutely, you processed your feelings.
Me too.
Becky, I hate processing my feelings. Yeah. I hate feelings. I hate emotions. Like, I hate all of it. I would like to pretend like it doesn't exist. And I think that's why I was so obese and did binge eating for many, many years, right? Yeah. Now I know how to process my feelings. Now I know how to cry, which I really hate. And I still feel like it's a waste of time, which is a horrible feeling to have about yourself, right? Like when I see somebody else cry, I'm like, wow, they're so in touch with their emotions and they can process things. But when I myself cry, I'm like, loser, get it together, right? Like I still have to battle that. And
Right?
so why? Why when you got fired, what what gave you the chutzpah to go forward and keep fasting? And now I think you've lost like 53 pounds
Yeah.
while homeschooling, while not having a job, while being stressed out in a pandemic. How? Tell me.
Yeah. So I think it comes from years of doing what you and I have done. I realized at some point in this journey prior to fasting that I do not do life transitions very well. So prior to all of this, prior to becoming a mom, I had another life, and I had switched jobs and relocated to the East Coast and back home and all these other things. And when I looked back, I noticed that when I got comfortable or when I had these transitions that we all go through, those were the times that I would lose weight. I mean, that I would gain weight. And so I think in that moment, I had already started these healthy habits. I had that moment with just the water piece, realizing you're not thinking clearly because you're not drinking water. And then I started on this journey with fasting, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. I've got this energy, I've got this mental clarity. And typically, when things happen that I cannot control, then the eating becomes one more thing that I can't control. And I think I just had a lucid moment and said, not this time. And also allowed myself to celebrate what I could celebrate in terms of where I was professionally, being offered, that promotion, and knowing that I was in great standing in in my company.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have to go through that part, of saying, okay, what could I have done differently? No, it kind of was what it was, as it often is. And those are things you can't control. So what's next? What can you control? What do you want to look like on the other side of this? And then when you have those moments where you have to cry, I'm like you. I'm great with everybody else crying. I'm that person that people call and lean on and say I need a pep talk or a kick in the butt, and I'm happy to do that for you.
Yeah.
so, so I just, had to let myself say, it's okay. This is happening. There's a reason for this. There's a reason this is happening to you before everybody else. And that couple of weeks allowed me to prepare for this pandemic in a way and help my friends and family prepare for this pandemic in a way that I don't think everybody had processed in that moment. Like, I think some people were still in denial about what was about to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is going down. So I kind of,
That's so cool. And if you guys don't know, Jackie's story is in Prevention Magazine, right, Jackie?
It is, yeah.
She's very famous. So if you see her, ask for her autograph. And Jackie, I think I read in there that you were using an app. Tell us about the app. Like, why'd you use it? How did it help you? What was the best part about it?
It's interesting. So because I thought it wasn't going to work and I wanted insurance, this is not normally me either. I'm not like a planner or, need a lot of fail safes, but I decided to try 3 apps at the same time when I started this, because I was like, surely one of them is going to fail or be redundant or, I'm not going to like it. And sure enough, 2 of them fell off, didn't track the hours. And I was really annoyed that I couldn't edit. And, when you stop, when you say you're going to stop, so it tracks your actual time.
Yeah. When I started using apps at first, like I could never change it.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, forget it. Like, and they really annoyed me. And then I just felt, not only did I feel fat, I also felt stupid. So I really was not into that. And then until I found something that works.
Yes.
So it's really annoying.
I found an app called the Life Fasting app, which not only allows you to track your time, but it allows you to edit your time where you need to, or change your goal in the middle of a fast, So if you get to 18 hours and decide you want to go to 20, you can push it to 20 and it accurately records it. It also has an awesome community. So I don't have a lot to say, but it's nice to be able to go in and see how everybody else is doing and, have like a little community in there as well, besides, what you can, kind of look in on, because YouTube can be one-sided. There's a lot of great information there. There's not a lot of one-on-one. And then I also started a fasting community group in Nextdoor for people who use the Nextdoor app. So I did that here in my community in Cincinnati.
Awesome.
I was like, let's just see if, I'm sure I've got some neighbors who are fasting.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so you lost 53 pounds.
Yeah.
And when is the last time you got this low in your weight?
Oh my God, it's been, I'm right now about 17 pounds short of my lowest weight, which would have been back in 2008. So probably 2007 sometime.
That is so cool. I have a question.
Sure.
I often visualize the end of the pandemic, right? And I visualize one of two scenarios for myself. And I'm curious to know if other people do this. Number one, we hear the vaccines are successful. It's safe to go out. We don't need masks. Everybody's healthy and well. The world is ready to go. Restaurants and spas are open. And I open the door and I can't fit out of the door. Have you ever had this nightmare? Because that is my visualization number one. And visualization number two is the same thing happens. The world is healthy. There's a vaccine. Everybody's good. We don't need masks. I'm going to the spa. I open the door and I am like straight up Jessica Rabbit, right? Like I am wearing a tight dress and I am the hottest I've ever been. And I'm like, world, watch out. Do you have these premonitions?
Yes.
Okay, thank gosh. I thought it was just me.
Not just you.
Okay, good.
I think they're important too. You know what I mean? Because then you have a choice to make, yes. Right?
Will I fit out of the door? This is the choice I must make.
Oh my
God. I'm glad to hear that you think this too. But what's so weird, Jackie, is like there's never an in-between. There's never a I just look exactly the same as I did before and I pretty much stayed the same. And lately, that's what I've been shooting for. It's just to stay the same weight,
Right, exactly. And I think that's fine, because to your point, like we're all in this crazy situation that none of us, let's face it, because you're a Gen Xer too. It's like, what in your wildest dreams could you ever imagine this 2020? I'm like apologizing to younger people. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I thought we were going to have cars for you guys by this point. Like it was totally going to be the Jetsons here, but
right,
here we are, learning how to wash our hands and still working on our weight and our and our health goals, So,
well, Jackie, I'm just like really inspired by you, and I'm so glad I read your story and I got to meet you. Is there somewhere people can get in touch with you if they want to reach out? Where's a good place for them to reach out to?
Sure, I'm on Twitter, and my handle is Rise Up, or at Jack Will, JAQWIL, and I'm also on LinkedIn at Jacqueline Wilson MBA.
Perfect, love that. I don't have an MBA, so I continue to look up to you.
Don't. I'm looking up to you. You're going to be my mentor after this.
Well, we'll see if I can get out of the house, and then I'll let you know, Jackie, how it goes. Well, it was such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much, Jackie, for being on our Life in the Fasting Lane podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Guys, if you want to check out more tips on fasting or keto or low carb, all these good things, you can go to lifeinthefastinglane.com, and you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Fasting Lane. Until next time, to your health and happiness.